She may be small and shy, but she's got some big gauntlets ready to do some big damage. Fuyuka is the first limited Ignis Vanguard. So, how do you build her, and who do you run her with? In this deep dive, we'll break down her optimal team potentials and prioritizations, as well as talent, emblem, and disc calculations. Let's get into it. Fuyuka is an ammo-based melee DPS. She gains ammo by using her skill, which is then consumed to cast enhanced basic attacks. She has two primary builds. One focuses on AoE and having a very high uptime of these empowered attacks, and one focus on single target that can immediately consume all ammo for burst damage, gaining massive attack speed in the process. This guide will focus primarily on the single target version, as AoE damage is hard to quantify. For what it's worth though, the AoE build has roughly half of the single target DPS. For core potentials, take Kitty Punch and Multi-Shot. Blast Pursuit and Combo Punch are the two highest priority, with Blast Pursuit adding a ton of raw skill damage, and Combo Punch buffing her skill damage considerably. Finishing Blow is the next priority, adding a large amount of Ignis damage on average. Finally, Bold Challenge, Swirling Counterattack, and Inertial Punch all have very similar value. The first two have fairly generic value, and Inertial Punch, giving burst damage, can be optimized further to gain extra value during break phases. This is Fuyuka's estimated damage profile. She does primarily skill damage, due to the on-hit damage from Blast Pursuit and Kitty Punch. Her ultimate is worth using even without any ultimate-related potentials. If you really want to take one though, consider Iron Fist Blow. Let's look at her supports, starting with Flora. Flora offers buffs to both crit and crit damage, attack, and most importantly, Ignis damage taken. As we have no damage taken multiplier anywhere else in this team, we'll want to prioritize that. Focus on the Soul Flare Butterfly core potentials, Ember of Tomorrow, and Ember Rekindled. This gives a greater damage taken debuff and extends uptime. Perfect Acting and Foreshadowing Verification are her highest priority buffs to take after that. Next, Visual Impact and Guest Performer are comparable in raw power. Reinforced Impression doesn't have the greatest uptime, so the value is not that high. Chixia is a solid buffer for Fuyuka, and can provide large amounts of attack, crit rate, and Ignis damage. Since a lot of her buffs will be based on minion count, take the Crimson Dragon potentials as cores. Sigil Unleashed Flame Glow is the highest priority buff to take, as it provides a much less diluted Ignis damage buff. Ink Sigil Horn Coal is a high attack buff that is the next priority. Prayer of Raging Flame, even when casting only 2 ultimates per 180-second battle, can be very competitive, especially if you can time your burst to line up with break windows. Otherwise, Ink Sigil Ambush is a decent generic attack buff, and Barrier Construct, while crit rate sounds good and synergizes with Flora, doesn't actually provide all that much on average, but should still be taken due to the low amount of crit overall. If you don't have Chixia, here are some alternatives. Minova applies an insane attack buff with Fervent Applause, giving massive value for just one potential. Telia and N work as generic low investment supports, with Casemiro having slightly less value. The following calculations will use the above level 30 record as a baseline, with the Event Disc, Cataclysm Disc, and 5-star Standard Disc. Filler 4-star discs will be used in the support slots. How strong are Fuyuka's talents? Between talent 0 and 5, expect roughly a 34% total damage increase. Since her talent passives give crit damage, with her first talent giving a lot more, this has potential to scale more if you roll for crit rate on your emblems. The first and fifth talents have the most power, with the rest of them having much less value. Before we dig into emblem stats, let's talk about pen. The formula for this has finally been cracked. The TLDR is that res has 3 major brackets, and the further res goes down from the start of the bracket, the less effective pen is. For example, 110 pen has roughly the same effect at both 250, the vulnerable tier, and 750, the neutral tier. But on something like the Finale Echoing Raid Balls, which has 570 res, it has much less value. For the same reason, the second line of 110 pen you get will have less value than the first. Keep that in mind as we go into these next calculations. For your level 70 emblem, prioritize pen, followed by crit rate. The next priority is skill crit rate or skill damage. For level 80, crit rate should be prioritized, followed by main skill level and skill crit rate. Fuyuka's potentials all scale with their skill level, which is why levels in it are so important. A second line of pen is still very strong. Of course, if you don't already have one, prioritize that first. For level 90, look for levels in Blast Pursuit and Finishing Blow. Skill damage is still good to have. And finally, levels in Combo Punch or Inertial Punch, though Ignis damage is not far off. Now, what about discs? These calculations are all for the isolated value of discs, with no other discs equipped, and Harmony skills at level 2. Because her limited disc grants mostly auto attack damage, it's actually beaten out by the standard 5-star disc. Her event disc, Fists of Courage, is competitive with the other 5-star discs at C1, but surely you all got it maxed out, where it totally has a solid standing in terms of value. The Cataclysm disc is a smidge ahead of the rest of the 5-star discs when considering average value in a 3-minute fight, though it may not be suitable for speedrun content where you won't get the full ramp-up effect. The 4-star options can be stronger than base 5-star discs if you have enough dupes on them. Twin Moon Mischief is the best option, with Cage of Roses being very close, but requiring you to purposely get hit for maximum uptime. That concludes this deep dive. Fuyuka is a powerful little potato who can really pack a punch. I hope this guide was helpful in explaining what you need to know to optimize her. Anyway, with the defense and res formulas being figured out, the calculator is coming along extremely well. And not to mention, we now have 3 elements mostly implemented, as well as all element supports. Now that we're caught up with limiteds, I wanted to start swinging back to cover standard characters. Please look forward to it. See you guys next time. Bye bye!